Dr. Sarkar, we are just 1 minute away from 11 o'clock. So we'll start right at 11. You can keep your microphone on now, Dr. Sarkar. Yeah. And Swapnil, please be online. Means what I should say that please keep your microphone as well as your video on for 1 minute. Hello, Swapnil. Hello, Swapnil. Yeah. So. Okay, so it is right at 11 o'clock, and good morning to all of you. I welcome on behalf of IEEE MTT Society Student Branch Chapter IIT BHU to all of you. Before I formally introduce the speaker, may I ask my co-moderator, Mr. Swapnil Goel, to say a few words. Swapnil, please. So Swapnil, you are muted. Swapnil, you are muted. Please unmute.
Yeah. So firstly, I would like to thank you all the participants for joining us, and Dr. Somak Bhattacharya sir for taking the lead in this particular webinar series. Also, we are having different moderators for this webinar, and I'm one of them. So thank you, Sogat Chatterjee, and thank you all the team of IIT BHU, MTTS section, student branch section. And thank you all the participants. We are also having the moderators from Siri Pilani and various organizations. So thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah. So may I now request Shogata to say a few words before I formally move on to this one.
So thank you, Professor Somak Bhattacharya and Swapnil. Actually, Swapnil is the brainchild of this total whole webinar. I think we have already announced it that he has a great interest in all the domain, radio astronomy and everything. So also I thanks to Anirban, Professor, maybe soon he will be the professor, I wish. And now I don't want to waste time. Please, Professor Somak, please start.
So again, so welcome to all of you, and may I now formally introduce our speakers. So this is probably the first time that in this particular webinar series organized by IIT BHU, and we are having one international speaker among us, and one of the very, I should say that that very much energetic, very young, talented Dr. Anirban Sarkar, who is currently pursuing his postdoctoral fellowship in Chung-Ang University in South Korea. So let me just introduce Dr. Sarkar very briefly. So Anirban Sarkar received the Bachelor of Technology degree from West Bengal University of Technology, India in 2011, followed by Master of Engineering degree in the specialization of microwave communication under Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering Department at Indian Institute of Engineering Science and Technology, Shibpur, India in 2013. Next, he finished his PhD from Department of Electrical Engineering with specialization of RF and microwave at Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, India in 2019. During his PhD research in microwave circuit lab of Professor Animesh Biswas, IIT Kanpur, he was trained in the fundamental methodologies of beam scanning antennas and arrays that aided in investigating the role of these in millimeter wave or terahertz domain. He opened a new direction in designing leaky wave scanning antennas using simple planar technologies like microstrip, SIW, etc. Those works mainly utilized higher order and lower order modes of SIWs, novel feeding techniques, beamforming networks, etc. After PhD, he joined as a postdoctoral fellow in School of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Chung-Ang University, Seoul, South Korea, in association with Hyundai Technologies. During his postdoctoral work, he explored a new avenue in designing leaky wave antenna at millimeter wave 60 GHz frequency band. Initially, CRLH media loaded SIW technology was used to design much simpler and compact beam scanning LWA. Further, reconfigurable microstrip line was implemented to design dual band, dual beam LWA for complete V-band radiation coverage. All these works get published in IEEE Transactional Antenna Propagations. He has authored and co-authored more than 50 international conference, letter, and journal papers. His research interests include millimeter wave leaky wave antenna, reconfigurable leaky wave antennas, etc. He served as a potential reviewer of IEEE Access, IEEE TAP, IET Electronics Letters, Wiley MOTL, IET Microwaves and Antenna Propagation, Wiley RFCAT, etc. He also served as secretary in MTTA Student Branch Chapter IIT Kanpur and webmaster and vice chair in IEEE APS Student Branch Chapter IIT Kanpur. So with these brief words, I don't want to waste any further time, and I invite Dr. Sarkar to present his talk.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Bhattacharya, for introducing myself so well. So first of all, good morning. So I'd like to thank all the audience for joining with us today. So in this devastated pandemic situation, we all know that tough times are still ahead. Let us not make it worse for ourselves. So we will, again, being hopeful is the only key we know. Stay healthy, be safe, and stay fit. So I just can say these words in this situation right now. So coming to today's talk, so I will be speaking on millimeter wave and the lower frequencies beam scanning applications.
Dr.
Particularly,
Sarkar, please share your slides.
Yeah. Yes.
And I am interrupting. May I request all the attendees to keep your microphone off as well as your video screen off for the smooth functioning of this webinar.
Can you see it?
Just one minute. Yeah, we can see that. Yeah, please go ahead.
So I will not display any tough mathematical equations and mathematical jugglery because you will be new, maybe you will be new this topic. So I will not covering all those things, but definitely you will get a new direction in designing several application based beam scanning antennas, maybe in millimeter wave or sub-millimeter wave or at the lower frequency bands. Particularly it is important for the current researcher. So hope you will enjoy the session. So I am seeking permission from Professor Bhattacharya to start the session.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so I am basically working right now in Seoul, South Korea, the Chung University. Professor Bhattacharya already told these things to you. So this is a small brief of where I am working now. So this is a Han River in Seoul, South Korea. This is the heart of Seoul, it's called. And my university is just near to the river area. This is the Hyuksuk-dong, the place where my university is right now. So this is the front view of Chung University. Although the picture quality is not good enough, but still we can. This is the university brief, which is actually 100 years old university. And this is a statistical data I have shown here. You can see the good number of international students come every year in this university to pursue master degree research and postdoctoral research also. And the students, the female and male ratio is quite good. And this is the microwave wireless communication lab where I am working in right now. He is my current advisor, Professor Sanjung Lim. Some of the facilities in our lab I have briefly stated here. some inkjet 3D printing, the fabrication PCB facility, up to KU band, the VNA up to 70 gigahertz with full calibration kits, the pattern measurement system. We have a lot of collaborators like Hyundai Korea Lab, the National Radio Research Agency, the Hansen Semiconductors, and many more. So, and our outcome, if you say the outcome of our lab, it's quite appreciable. So 18 journals every year from our lab we usually publish. In most of the journals are leading journals like IEEE TAP, AWPL Access, Scientific Reports. So this is the outline of my topic. So you might be interested to see the beam scanning antennas like this, because I have prepared this presentation in a more generic way. So first of all, I will be talking about some beam scanning antennas for radar and surveillance applications, where the compact beam scanning antennas have been designed. And then for the angle diversity, many applications it require the polarization diversity, spatial diversity like that. So how you can design the scanning antennas for that applications. So I will be talking about that. And finally, the millimeter wave beam scanning antennas, because when we talk about millimeter wave, a lot of things comes into our mind: the space, the shape of the antenna, I mean the size of the antenna, lot of things, the performance of the antenna. So I'll be talking about that. In this congested wireless environment, the definition of the antennas are changing. It requires several new things, like the antenna should be broadband. Of course, the size is matter, and it should be lightweight so that we can mount it anywhere. The multiple beam antennas sometimes require, of course, the low power consumption, and it should be cost effective for bulk production, and the beam scanning range should be larger, and gain is, of course, gain is the issue. So gain should be higher enough. So this is just a transition from 3G domain to the future 5G domain. You can see it, the beamforming network is how it is changing, how it is being complex with time to time. So the antenna definitions are also changing based on this changing from 3G to 5G. So why liquid wave antenna? Several antennas are there, microstrip antenna, some resonant antennas are there, arrays are there. Then why liquid wave antenna? First of all, when we use the arrays, when we use the other resonant kind of antennas, so the main issue we face, the bandwidth, the gain, the scanning range, many things. If we suppose say the array antenna, so you have to use some larger beamforming network, the phase shifting network to feed the antenna. Whereas in the liquid wave antenna, the antenna is low profile and the feeding network is so simple and easy to control. Very good control over the phase. You just suppose change the structure of the unit cell and you will have a change of the phase, which is responsible for beam scanning. I will be talking about it later. The large bandwidth is a very crucial and important point of using liquid wave antenna, and beam width is also narrow, and cost is low, lightweight, and easy to manufacture. With a very small facility in the PCB lab, you can fabricate the liquid wave antenna. So what is liquid wave antenna? Liquid wave antenna is nothing but a traveling wave structure. And you all know that, the traveling wave. What is traveling wave? Traveling wave is when the wave propagates in any guiding media. Suppose there is a leakage, there is a slot. If it faces any discontinuity, it starts leaking from that discontinuity. But keep in mind, the wave travels in the structure as well. So simultaneously, the propagation and the radiation are taking place in this kind of traveling wave structure. So that is why the propagation wave number k, you all know that. The wave number k is complex in nature. K consists what? Alpha and beta. Where alpha is that loss, basically it introduces a loss, the attenuation constant. It actually responsible for the beam width, how much narrower the beam width, how much wider the beam width we need based on the application. And the phase constant beta, which is the main key part of this antenna designing, is responsible for the beam tilting. So this is leak wave antenna. There are several applications are there. There are several shapes of leak wave antennas are there. Classification, this is a brief classification of leak wave antenna based on the scanning. If you suppose need a scanning based on the application, suppose backward beam scanning, forward beam scanning, or backward to forward beam scanning, whatever you need, you can generate from leak wave antenna. Based on the beam shaping, sometimes you require fan beam, pencil beam, conical beam, so you can generate those beams from leak wave antenna very easily. Based on the geometry, suppose if your expertise in waveguide, so by using waveguide, you can generate leak wave antenna. By using a microstrip, you can generate leak wave antenna. By using a spook plasma transmission line, you can use a leak wave antenna. So whatever waveguiding structure you are using, you can generate the leak wave antenna very easily. These are the some of the application areas I focused, because a lot of applications areas are there which I have not stated here. Few are there: the tracking, the human, the tracking, the automotive car control, the intelligent transport system particularly, and in the aircraft collision avoidance system, you can see here, sometimes in the aircraft collision avoidance system, sometimes it required to generate one signal with a frequency supposed to the flight with the air traffic control, and sometimes it requires to generate another frequency to communicate with other plane. So sometimes multiple beams are required with multiple frequencies. Here the leak wave antenna comes in the picture. And the non-contact vital sign monitoring systems for measuring the pulse, heartbeat, pulse rate, and many things. You can fix the leak wave antenna in one room in the hospital and keep tracking. It will keep tracking the vital signs of you, and it will provide you the result. So there are several areas there where leak wave antennas are broadly used. So now coming to the very simple design, I will be showing this design, the simple design. This is based on the SIW. You all are familiar with the structure. This is a simple power divider, right? So the left is the 1x2 power divider, and this is the 1x4 power divider. This is simply a SIW based power divider. Port 1 is the input port, and 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the output ports. Similarly here, port 1 is the input port, and 2 and 3 are the output ports. So now by placing the slots, these red color verticals are the slots. These slots you can place on the top of the SIW. With this dimension, you have to maintain this dimension where length of the slot should be non-resonant kind. That means leakage. Why this is called leak? Because suppose if you make a pin in the balloon, so you cannot detect the where is the actually the air is leaking, because the small hole is so small enough to detect the air leakage. Similarly, here also the slot's dimensions are non-resonant, so the structure itself, it doesn't know that the antenna is actually participating in radiation, but in the far field you will get a directed pattern. That's why the leak wave antenna is so useful. So this is the structure, and similarly you can place the slots to the 1x4 power divider. This is a simple way to enhance the gain. Suppose you have a 1x8 power divider, 1x16 power divider, so you can simply place a slot and you can get the radiation like this. This is a fabricated prototype of 1x4 power divider based leak wave antenna, where you can see the beam is scanning like this. And by this is a simple comparison, because many of us, we may ask, what is the difference if we suppose use any waveguide? So compared to the similar kind of waveguiding structure, the comparison has been made over here. You can see, compared to the waveguiding structure, this leak wave antenna is small enough, lighter enough, and obviously cost effective, providing the similar response. This is the beauty of the design. Now to get the dual beam, suppose we need the dual beam. So a lot of things we have to do if we use the array. But here we simply use a 1x2 power divider to get a dual beam, right? this is a 1+2 SAW based power divider. And similarly, if we use the slots over there, so we can get a dual beam. And next, by using this well-known cross-shaped slot to minimize the cross-polar level. You know that everywhere in array antenna and any scanning antennas or wherever, you all know that the utility of this cross-shaped slot. By using this slot, you can minimize the cross-polar level. So this is the dual beam scanning. You can see it in the screen. This is the dual beam scanning. Now, the drawback of this antenna is the scanning is first of all limited to only 25 degree. So if we suppose place this antenna in the car, so we cannot detect the places like this portion. So that's why this is called the blind spot and the object detection and parking aid. So these portions are mainly covered by the radiation null. So no radiations are coming in this position. So this is the limitation of the structure. So for this, to get rid of this, we introduce the second higher order mode of SIW. So far, in the previous two structures, we have been using the first order mode of SIW, that is simple TE10, the mode of the waveguide, the rectangular waveguide. So similarly, here, now you can see this is a TE20 mode of SIW. Two electric field maximas are propagating simultaneously on the structure, but the difference is there, the electric fields are opposite to each other, so 180 degree out of phase. So simultaneously, two electric field maxima with 180 degree out of phase signal is propagating in the SIW structure for the TE20 mode of SIW. This is the feeding technique I have introduced to excite the structure. I am not going to in detail about the feeding technique. So it's simply the microstrip line and a ground slot line is there. So microstrip line to ground slot line, and then again ground slot line to the SIW. The signal is actually converted from microstrip, that is TEM mode, to the slot, and then from slot to the SIW TE20 mode. So this is simply the mode conversion to excite the structure. This is the TE20 mode SIW structure. You can see it. The right side is the electric field. Magnitude of the electric field has been shown here. So you can check it. The four electric, there is a power divider has been used here, of course, to make a array. So four electric fields, four maximas are propagating simultaneously. Here you can check the vector direction, that these two, the side, the edge, the electric field maximum are there with same phase, and the center two electric field maximum are there with same phase. So according to this electric field, now you can place the slots. So the slots are orthogonally oriented as per the electric field, and you are getting the radiation of dual beam. So the beam scanning angle has been increased a lot as per the according to the the liquid structure as compared to the previous two designs. The gain variation is only obtained from 12.25 to 14 dBi with the scanning range of 66 degree as compared to the previous one. Previous one, it was 25 degree. Now it is 66 degree. So the scanning range has been increased. This is the fabricated prototype of the TE20 mode based geometry. This is the reference. Now we can make a similar concept to generate 8 beams to cover the full direction. So there is a coaxial probe over there, and I have placed this transition, 4 transition there to excite the 4 section of SIW to generate the 8 beams. This is the fabricated prototype of this 8 beam structure. The similar slots are placed over there. You can check the slot orientation. The similar kind of slots are placed over there to generate the 8 beam. This is the 8 beam has been generated from this structure. So by using a simple feeding technique, you can generate the 8 beams. But the problem is this: the structure has become much larger. This is the problem. And the fabrication difficulties is that if there will be a single mistake in fabrication, the whole structure will be damaged. You will not get anything. This is the problem. And the polarization flexibility problem. The structure is not polarization flexible. So for next step, I designed Same slots orientation and same SIW structure, but for polarization flexible applications. Here you can see this is SIW, and port 1 and port 2 has been used as a input port, whereas 3, 4, 5 and 6 are the output ports. Suppose you excite from port 1 and port 2. So depending on the modes of excitation, you are getting different kind of polarization radiation. Here the beams are quad. So 4 beams are radiating simultaneously, which is scanning the 4 quadrants. The beam 1 is scanning the first quadrant, the second beam is scanning the second quadrant, and third and fourth quadrant respectively. So that's how we can get a 360-degree coverage. You can see this is a reference, and this is the just a layout of the excitation mechanism, that how by depending on the mechanism, suppose port 1 is active and port 2 is inactive, so you are getting a plus minus 45-degree polarization signal in the radiation. If you suppose twist the feeding input, so the polarization will be twisted, that is minus plus 45-degree polarization. Like that, if you suppose 0-degree phase signal are fed to port 1 and port 2 simultaneously, you are getting X-directed signal, that is horizontal polarization, and 1-degree out of phase signal if you feed to the input, so you will get the vertical linear polarization. And of course 0-90-degree and 90-0, like that you can achieve the circular polarization, RHCP and LHCP. This is the fabricated prototype and the measuring technique, that from VNA we connect the input port over here, whereas the other ports are matched. This is the beauty of leakage antenna, because we usually call the leakage antenna is a traveling wave structure. So it means that the wave travels to the end of the structure and it radiates. The structure should be long enough to completely radiate the full energy from the structure. But in the practical case, to avoid the unintentional reflection from the other port, we place a 50 ohm match terminal over there. So you can see here. So this is the linear polarization X direction by using a 3 dB power divider. We feed the signal, and this is the radiation pattern. You can see it. This is a quad beam is radiating from the structure. So you can have a quad beam along with the polarization flexibility. So far we have designed whatever we have designed, that is SIW or simple waveguide based leakage antennas, right? So now we are planning to, we were thinking that how the beam will be scanned from backward to forward, because so far whatever design we have shown, the beam is only limited to the forward direction only. Now we are planning to include the beam scanning from backward to forward, the full beam scanning, which is the very well known and highly demanding. So to implement this, we introduced the CRLH well-known media, the metamaterial inspired media, CRLH, where we introduced the left-handed capacitance and inductance over there, along with the right-handed capacitance and inductance. So there are many other techniques are there. Those have proposed the CRLH media by using a ferrite loaded waveguide, by using matching stubs. But the problem is that it increases the material cost and the whole system is being complex. So this is the first design. As you can remember, the last time I have shown you the excitation mechanism of T20 mode, where we place the 45 plus minus 45 degree oriented slots. Similar way, we placed a plus minus 45 degree oriented slots over here also, but the slots are now not as horizontal or vertical. It's a interdigital capacitive kind of slots to introduce the left-handed capacitance in the media. And what I receive? I receive a backward to forward beam scanning now. So just by introducing these slots, top and bottom, we can receive the 4 quadrant beam scanning by using only 2 beams. The last time I showed you 4 beams were scanning the 4 quadrant, but now the 2 beams are scanning the 4 quadrants simultaneously. So this is the fabricated prototype of the structure. And this is the beam scanning. You can see it. The dual beam is actually scanning from left side to right side gradually. So you can achieve the full space beam scanning by using a simple kind of this structure. Whatever will be your structure, if you simply place the slot kind of things in like here, so you can get the dual beam scanning from backward to forward quadrant. The peak gain for this case has been achieved almost up to 18 dBi with the beam scanning coverage of 248 degree. Another serial media has been proposed. This is another serial media. The same concept, same thing. Already there is a SIW structure is there. So already these are the vias. Basically, these are the vias of the SIW, which is providing the left-handed inductance. So that means you just have to implement the left-handed capacitance. That's it. And you will get the radiation from the backward to forward quadrant. So to implement this, you just need to follow some states. I have not provided here. You have to make the system balance. You have to make the antenna balance at particular point where you need. So depending on the balanced point, the left-handed and the right-handed resonances are equal, and the antenna will be generating the backward beam to the forward beam. The similar way, as I previously mentioned, we can design the antenna like this, but the spiral kind of slots I've implemented, the quad of spiral kind of slots I've implemented, and you can check it, the antenna is a traveling wave structure. That's why the bands are covering full band. There is no resonance. You can check it. So because it's a traveling wave structure, so non-resonant kind of structure. So full KU band, the structure is covering, providing backward to forward beam scanning. The efficiency is quite high for almost every leak wave antennas. Here also 82 to 85% radiation efficiency we achieved with the gain variation from 12 to 16 dBi. And you can check it, the beam scans from backward to forward quadrant. And the beam is here, in this case is fan beam. Now, this is a very important thing I will be discussing now. We all face the problem of gain drops in the broadside direction. Suppose somehow you design an array antenna or a beam scanning antenna by using array or any other thing. You must have faced this problem, the gain drop in the broadside direction. Gain drop is a very common problem, and if the gain drops, the radiation efficiency definitely it drops. So to get rid of this problem, I have introduced an asymmetry in the structure. So this is a circular section SIW, and then this is a circular section SIW, and this is completely symmetric. The structure is completely symmetric. So to make it asymmetric, I cut through the magnetic wall to make it half mode. The half mode is asymmetry in vertical plane. The horizontal plane, it is symmetric, but for the vertical plane, it is asymmetric. The similar way, if we cut through the magnetic wall, again, we can get the quarter mode. And again, if we cut through the magnetic wall, we can receive the 8 mode. This is the beauty of the lower mode. I mean, if we suppose cut the SIW like this to achieve the lower order mode, so the beauty of this is this small 8 mode structure is resonating at the same frequency point the full mode resonates. So by keeping the structure 1/8 from the original shape, we can get the same response from SIW. And then if you suppose place these unit cell kind of things like these, you can get a beam scanning. This is the 8 mode based beam scanning antenna. Structure is 1/8 from the full mode SIW. And if you suppose implement the similar IDC slots over there, so you can get the backward to forward beam scanning. I think you can get it now. This structure is actually, if you can see the structure is actually asymmetric with respect to the longitudinal axis. This is the main reason of getting the radiation efficiency enhancement. This is the similar structure, but 8-mode SIW in rectangular. The previous one is circular and this is rectangular. The similar kind of beam scanning you can get. This is the proposed geometry. This unit cell is, if you can check this unit cell, this is asymmetric with respect to the longitudinal axis, also with respect to the vertical axis. Whatever will be a geometry, if you want to get rid of the gain problem in the broadside or the radiation efficiency issues, so simply you can make your geometry asymmetric from both axes. If you simply asymmetric your unit cell from the both axes, you can achieve the efficiency and the gain in the broadside direction greater than the off broadside. This is the structure. How I implemented this asymmetric unit cell along with these IDC slots over there in designing Leaky wave antennas. This is the leaky wave antenna, you can check it. And this is the stop band. Usually we face in the broadside direction, and the stop band has been minimized over here. You can check it. The antenna has been designed at X band, and the efficient, this is the beam scanning. This is simulated and measured beam scanning. The backward to forward beam scanning has been obtained also in this case. And if you can check this, the radiation efficiency is much larger than the off broadside. This is the beauty of this kind of structure. So this is the 3D beam scanning I have shown here, simply that the beam has been scanned from backward to forward quadrant. So whatever will be your structure, so if you simply assimilate the structure with respect to the longitudinal as well as the vertical axis, so you can get the beams, the radiation efficiency and gain in the broadside direction larger than the off broadside. So it will completely eliminate the gain issues we have been suffering so far in the years. So if we suppose I make a little conclusion up to this point, so we have used the SIW as the waveguiding structure, and based on the SIW, several things have been designed. The arrays have been designed. The higher order mode of SIW have been designed to get a beam scanning. And this is again a higher order mode SIW to get a full beam scanning by introducing the CLLH media. And this is the 8 beam scanning. This is again the CLLH. And this is the polarization diversity beam scanning leaky wave antenna. And at last, the asymmetric unit cell based beam scanning leaky wave antenna. So far, we have covered up to Ku band, and lot of problems we have resolved by using several antennas. Now coming to the millimeter wave. Now when we talk about the millimeter wave, several things come into our mind. The first thing is that the antenna should be small enough. How much? How I will design that antenna? How I will cover the bandwidth? Lot of issues are there. So definitely in millimeter wave domain, several new features of the antennas have been added, which we have to keep in our mind. There are several scopes in antenna designing if we suppose use the antenna for millimeter wave applications. For the new researchers, there are several scopes are there in millimeter wave antenna application. So this is the V-band half mode SIW transmission line I have designed to design a new kind of leaky wave antenna in millimeter wave. First of all of my antennas are very small enough, providing very good performance. if we suppose, just take a snap over there, if we suppose that as the similar way, like previously we designed the hub mode, similarly, we can design the hub mode SIW over here also. It is working from 50 to 65 gigahertz. This is a fabricated prototype, and you can see the waveguide is perfectly working from 50 to 65 gigahertz. These are the wave launchers have been ordered from Southwest company. This is simply the wave launcher have been used to fit the geometry. Now, by putting the interdigital slots, but in this orientation, in case of millimeter wave, you don't have, lot of space to implement lot of different kind of slots you have been working, you have been using. You cannot get that because the space is so small. So you have to utilize the space to design your structure. So this kind of slot, interdigital slots with half sinusoidal variation, if you place, so you can easily create the CRLH media. That means the metamaterial inspired media you can create by using this kind of slots in the waveguide, half mode waveguide. This is the structure, the layout of the geometry. So you can check it for this half sinusoidal slots, you can get the best matching as compared to the other slots. That's why people are using this kind of slots when they design in the millimeter wave or terahertz. They use this kind of half sinusoidal variation of slots. This is the fabricated prototype at millimeter wave. This the actual radiator size is, if you can check it, it's around 3 centimeter. If you can check the actual radiator size is 3 centimeter. And the beam is scanning from backward to forward quadrant. And this is the simple snap of the measurement procedure, how we measured this leak wave antenna. This is the small horn antenna you can see here. And we place the leak wave antenna over here, the test leak wave antenna. And we put a 50 ohm match termination at the other port to get the undesired reflection from the port 2. So we put a 50 ohm match termination over there. Like that, we perform the measurement of the structure at V band. Now the problem is that to use this structure, first of all, the scanning range is not good enough. But another problem is there. Whenever we will be using this structure in the vehicular technology, the main application area in V band, particularly in 40 to 70 gigahertz, this band, the vehicular technology comes in the picture. To use this antenna in vehicle technology, this antenna is not efficient. This antenna is not efficient. Why? This antenna, first of all, this antenna is generating in only one beam, and the beam is scanning in the elevation plane. But whenever we talk about the vehicular technology applications, we need the dual beam scanning, first of all, to cover the larger area, and beam should be scanned side by side, not the elevation plane, like that. So to implement this concept, I implemented the higher order mode of microstrip. This is really a new way to design leak wave antenna. It opens a new dimension in designing very small, cheap, and compact leak wave antenna for millimeter wave applications. So you all know that this is a simply Quasar TM mode microstrip line, which has the electric field nulls at the edges. That means this waveguide, this microstrip line is basically bounded in nature and working as a slow wave structure. So you will be not receiving any kind of radiation from this structure. Now, if you suppose use the first higher order mode of microstrip, you might be aware of the structure because we all know this structure from our BTech level. This is a simple microstrip modes. If we suppose use the first order mode of microstrip, you will get two electric field maxima at the two edges, but with opposite polarity. That means it can radiate from the edges because the electric field over there is weakly coupled with the ground plane. As compared to these, if you suppose use the second higher order mode of microstrip, the fields are more weakly coupled for this structure, and you will be receiving three electric field maxima. One is in the center line and two are the two edges. Like that, you can receive a radiation from the structure more easily as compared to the previous A2. Actually, in the previous literature, people designed several structures throughout the years by using this fast higher order mode of microstrip. But recently, this 1 or 2 years, people are concentrating on the second higher order mode of microstrip just because of these 2 points. This is the layout of the structure, and you can check this is the electric field magnitude at the edges. I have shown the vector orientation, and this is the electric field magnitude at the top of the surface. So you can check it, the true electric field with same polarity at the two edges, and the center electric field, the full cycle, is opposite phase. This is the orientation of the TE-EH2 mode of microstrip. So it can produce the dual beam response. Now we will be observing this. This is the proposed transmission line, and this is the proposed feeding network for millimeter wave. Now, how we will confirm that antenna is actually working like a radiation? What we do, you suppose design a liquid antenna, you suppose design a substrate, you suppose design a patch antenna or whatever. How you convert that antenna to liquid wave? So you have to identify from the dispersion diagram that I have not included in the presentation slide much detail on the dispersion diagram. This is a simple dispersion diagram I have shown here, where you can see the propagation constant, the two parts are there, beta and alpha, where the phase constant is increasing in nature from this point, and it keeps increasing up to this point. After that, it stops. So when it stops, after that, the region is called the bounded region. You will be not receiving any radiation. And before starting increasing, the region is called the well-known cutoff region. In this region, the structure will not be radiating. So you will have a radiation only this region. It's called the leakage wave region. In this region, the leakage constant, if you can check it, is slowly decreasing in nature. That means the leakage is slowly happening over here. So that's how you can detect the leakage wave region, the antenna working region. Also, from the power dissipation diagram, right side, you can check it, most of the powers are dissipated from the structure within that region. So that's how you can detect the region of operation from your proposed geometry. This is the main concept of the structure. Now, if you suppose place a via over there, suppose you short throughout the center line. Suppose you just place a shorting wall at the center line. So what you will receive? The field over there will be grounded. And the interesting part is there, the field is grounded and makes a structure with working with half mode microstrip. So by placing a shorting wall over there, you just can switch your mode from EH2 to EH1 mode by placing a electric wall over there. But how you place the electric wall practically? It is not possible for you to place a electric wall inside the structure. So I made a few via holes over there disconnected from the structure, and I place a pin diode over there. So by switching on the pin diodes are placed basically on the top and the bottom of the structure. And if you suppose switching on the pin diodes, so you can control the switching on the electric wall on or off. So if you suppose switching on the pin diode, the shorting wall will be activated and the modes will be converted from EH2 to EH1 mode. And this is the EH1 mode. If you can check it, the mode has been converted from EH2 to EH1 mode. So by using this kind of concept, you can switch from EH2 to EH1. Now what's new in it? What's new in it? So the new thing is this: whenever you will be converting the mode from EH2 to EH1 mode, the working region will be shifted from one band to another band. This is the main thing. So mode conversion has been shown here. You can see it. This is the EH2 mode where 3 electric field maximas are there here. And when it's converted to the half mode, the pair of half modes, the electric field are only 2 maxima on the structure, but operating at each half mode. What is the benefit? If you suppose see the dispersion diagram, the region of operation has been shifted from 50 to 65. The region is shifted to 42, almost 52.5. So the whole V band you can cover just by tuning this pin diode. This is S parameter response. So you can see it by tuning the pin diodes on the higher order mode microstrip line. You can design an antenna working almost for 30 gigahertz, almost for 30 gigahertz. Whole V band it will be covering. This is the 3D radiated beam from the 2 modes. One is the higher order mode generating the pencil beam. One is the half mode generating the fan beam. That's how you can design a leak wave antenna working throughout the full V band just by tuning the pin diodes. This is the layout of the geometry. We place the pin diodes over there like this, and the interesting part is there. When we did the measurement in the anechoic chamber for the pattern measurement, we placed simply a battery over there because we cannot provide the voltage probe or external voltage supply in the anechoic chamber. So we placed a simple battery over there and we performed the millimeter wave measurement. So the DC probe has been used to the bias line to input the positive voltage, and the negative voltage was connected to the voltage supply. That's how we bias the structure. This is the fabricated prototype of the design. It is very important to mention that these diodes have been placed from the company. We have the microscopic measurement facility in the lab. If suppose you want to place one diode at this position, you can. Microscopic measurement facility we have. The diode is so smaller that if you suppose breathe, you cannot detect the diode where it is, if it is suppose blown away. So small the diode is. So in microscopic view, the diode is looking larger, but practically the diode is very small, very, very small. This is the measurement setup I used in my lab. And by using a MS-TEC DC voltage probe, this is the DC voltage probe I used for the positive voltage supply. And this is the radiation pattern. So you can check it. The pattern is actually scanning in the tilted plane. So you can change the plane, this phi plane. You can change the direction of this phi plane, and you can change the direction of this beam. So that means that you can design this structure which is covering almost every elevation plane and the azimuth plane, but only in one quadrant. The back side, there is no beam. This is the limitation of the structure. We will be overcoming this limitation in the next design. This is the radiation pattern. You can check it. The beam, the dual beam is particularly 15-degree tilted, scanning gradually in the elevation as well as the azimuth plane. This is the the brief of the structure, that higher V band and lower V band, both we can cover by using this structure, which is working from almost 40 to 65 gigahertz, covering the full V band, maintaining a good gain of approximately 19 dBi. The drawback is that the beam scanning is only limited to 1/2 of the sphere. 1/2 of the sphere. This is a drawback. So to get rid of this, I implemented another design over here. This is a reference. You can get the full detail of this design, where I have implemented that half sinusoidal variation of slots over there to provide a left-handed capacitance. But the crucial point is that how I will be implementing the left-handed inductance, because when the diodes will be off, so all the vias will be deactivated from the structure. Then how I will be generating the left-handed inductance. So to check this, what I did, I placed the couple of diodes with one via gap. So 2 diodes have been placed and we make a via without diode, and then we placed another couple of diode and we make remain one via without diode, like this. Why I implemented like this? You can see why. Because if we suppose implemented this kind of structure, I remained unbiased one diode with a gap of 3 mm, it can still radiate at H2 mode. In the previous structure, you can remember, when the diodes are at off condition, then only the structure generates a H2 mode. But here, in spite of the presence of this diode, the structure can generate H2 mode. This is the beauty of the structure, and due to this interdigital capacitance formed by the half sinusoidal variation of the slots, we can achieve a left-handed to right-handed beam scanning. The beam scans from -78 to +69.6 degree for lower band, and for the upper band it's -65 to 69.7 degree. It should be point, sorry. So now if the diodes are on, then the beam will be again shifted to the lower band. That's how we can achieve beam shifting from backward to forward quadrant, along with the region of operation shifted from higher order to lower order. So similarly, in the previous design, we can get a full V-band coverage by introducing a full beam scanning in the millimeter wave. So this is the final prototype of the design. You can check it. The diodes have been placed over here by gapping one via over there. And very important to be mentioned that we had to take a lot of precautions dealing with the diodes. We had to wear the electrostatic gloves and the electrostatic sheets over there, where we place the diode for placing it on the structure. So we had to take a lot of precautions dealing with this diode. The diode model number I have mentioned here for your reference purpose. It's MACOM MA4GP907, which is working up to 70 gigahertz. This is the S-parameter response of the design. So you can check it. The design is working from 40 to 70 gigahertz. Here, the gain response has been shown. And this is a reference. You can get the full text from this reference. The efficiency has been achieved around 92.5%, providing a good gain response of around 18.37 dBi. Now, this is the very last part of my PPT. Now, I will not going to talk more detail about this because this is an ongoing project. Now we are planning to transmit and receive signal at 60 gigahertz, and we will be implementing these in the vehicular application. So this is the simple motherboard. You can check it. This is a transmission module I have shown here. Currently we are dealing with. We will place our antenna just over here. Just over here. We will be placing our antenna, and we will be transmitting the signal from here, and we will be receiving with a horn antenna. And then we will be using this technology in the vehicular application in Hyundai technology. So these are some applications we are targeting recently. So this is the simple 60 gigahertz wireless link test setup we are having in our lab. We are doing this currently. And these are the few applications what we are targeting. So that's it. So this is some of my taken snap of our university. This is the Chunga University front gate. This is our library, and this is the academic building. This is a very beautiful picture snapped at the time of cherry blossom. This is the snowfall in our university, and this is the university emblem, and this is the Centennial Hall where we usually go for canteen, lunch, dinner, whatever. So, and yes, this is the main important thing. So postdoctoral position is now open for the interested candidates. Just a simple advertisement. That's it. This is the acknowledgement. I must acknowledge the National Research Foundation of Korea for providing me the grant to perform this research. And of course, special thanks to Professor Somak Bhattacharya, Swapnil Gaul, and Sogat Chatterjee, and the full organizing team of IIT BHU, IEEE MTTS Student Band Chapter. Without their effort, it cannot be successfully happened. And all the best for the upcoming events also. Thank you. If you have some question, you can ask me.
Hello.
Yeah, please,
Hello.
please wait. Please, you are not supposed to, please, if you have any kind of doubt, please drop your question over here. We will take it at one by one. Please don't unmute yourself and ask the question. We will, please maintain this decorum. Yeah, so Dr. Sarkar, first of all, let me tell you, it's a very, very nice presentation, okay? And people they are very, very much happy with they have come up with numerous comments, which is basically showing they are basically praising your presentation. So we got a number of questions. So if you just agree, then let me just go one by one, okay?
Yeah,
So,
sure.
Yeah, just 1 minute, please. Yeah. So the very first one, they said how to check the mode from simulated result.
Yeah, this is a very good question. So you can check the mode of your transmission line. I don't know that which kind of transmission line you are using. If you suppose using the waveguide, the rectangular waveguide, or the microstrip line, so you can check the electric field of the structure in the leaky F condition to check the modes of your particular geometry. And you can detect from the dispersion diagram also, like that I mentioned there, by checking the beta and alpha from the dispersion diagram, you can detect your mode of operation, that exactly your antenna is working as a leaky wave antenna or not.
Yeah. The second question is, sir, how we can define the compactness of traveling wave antenna at high frequencies?
Yes, this is a very good question because I faced this question several times, because during my very earlier journey of my PhD work, I used to design the antenna without considering the specification provided by the company. So I faced this question. But for the particular application, the antenna specifications are well defined. So you can simply follow the definition of that antenna specification whenever you are going for a design. So you can follow the specification from the company website. It is well defined everywhere. Suppose you are designing in the V band 56 to 60 gigahertz. So for the vehicular application, let's say for the vehicular application, so you will have to achieve a beam scanning range around 360-degree coverage, again around 20 dBi kind of things is well defined. So whenever you are going to design an antenna for particular application, so you can design as compared to the specification mentioned there.
The next question is how to add phase differences in a Broadwell waveguide slotted array.
Yeah, slotted array. So this is actually one, I mean, obviously when you place one unit cell with a particular period, it is making an array. But the difference is there, in the array, you have to put the elemental phase by using the phase shifting network over there. You have to place a mixer over there, a local oscillator over there, whatever. But here in this case, by changing the structure, by changing the signal, when the signal propagates in the structure, it has its own elemental phase, which is dependent on the beta. Time to time, the beta is varying. When you change the frequency, you are changing basically the beta of the structure, and you are getting a beam at some different position you need.
Okay. The next question is what is the role of CRLH design in the structure?
Okay, so CRLH, basically this is a metamaterial inspired media. CRLH is nothing but a composite right-handed, left-handed media. So that means usually the waveguiding the microstrip line, what we use, that is right-handed media. If you suppose want a radiation, it is only restricted to one quadrant. If you suppose want to get a radiation from backward to forward, you may include the CRLH media by providing an extra left-handed inductance and capacitance in the structure.
The next question is how did you choose dimensions of a traveling wave structure?
Yeah, for the traveling wave structure, most of the traveling wave structures are non-resonant kind of. So for non-resonant, first of all, if you suppose implementing, if you are suppose implementing any slots over there, so that should be non-resonant. That means the length of the slot should be lambda by 4 to lambda by 10. Usually we keep this dimension for a design purpose. And the width of the slot is almost not comparable from the length of the structure. This is a simple slot dimension.
Yeah. The next question is if higher order modes are used, does the frequency of operation remain same as in the dominant TE10 mode? If not, and the extension of this question is, if not, how to deal with this in terms of slot dimensions?
Right. Actually, when you are using the higher order mode of the microstrip, it only changes the electric field orientation of the structure. You are not getting any shift in the frequency domain. So if you are not getting any shift in the frequency domain, so there is no question of changing the dimension, slot dimension. Whenever you are changing the frequency domain, then you can say you have to change your slots. If you can remember, my lower frequency work, where I used the higher order mode, I used a fixed frequency domain for higher order mode and lower order mode. That's why I didn't change the slot dimension. But for the millimeter wave, when you are changing the frequency domain, I never implemented any slots over there. I implemented the wall of the waveguide as a slot. So when you are changing the frequency, automatically itself the structure, it is changing the slot dimension like a, open edge of the waveguide. This is the beauty of the millimeter wave design and lower frequency. So for lower frequency, you must have to change the slot dimension whenever you will be dealing with the higher order mode. But for the millimeter wave application, the design I have shown here, I didn't change any slot dimension because there was no slots over there. I used the waveguide open edge as a slot. So itself it is changing the slot dimension.
The next question is while simulating LWA, say with 2 ports, do we have to terminate second port with match termination and perform the simulation?
Yes, for the simulation purpose, if you suppose design any liquid antenna, for simulation purpose, you can extend your antenna as long as possible to check the maximum radiation occurs for how much length. Suppose the length is 5 lambda. Suppose, let's say your length is 5 lambda in the simulation and you are getting a good radiation. That means almost 90 to 95% power has been radiated from the structure. That means whenever you are doing this, whenever you are fabricating the structure and you will perform the measurement in the lab, So you will put a 50 ohm terminator over there to get any undesired reflection from the other pole.
The next question is that in continuation of this one, in case of dealing with high order modes, how do we ensure matching so that there are no reflections?
Yeah, the matching, if you say about the matching, you can suppose you fix a port 1 and you're receiving a signal from port 2 and you check the S parameter response to check whether the structure is well matched or not. The other option is there. You can check step by step. Suppose you fix a port 1 and you check the next transition and you check the matching. If that is well matched, then go for the structure. And the similar kind of matching, if you can, you can check for the output port also.
The next question is, how do you control the beam angle externally? The continuation of this one, do you use a processor-based system?
Yes, actually, if you suppose control the beam angle, it's strictly dependent on the beta, the elemental phase constant, which is changing with the frequency. Suppose you have a VNA and you have a frequency shifter. So if you suppose shift your frequency, automatically it will shift the phase and you can get the beam at that particular direction. Definitely.
The next question is, why SIW structure has been preferred over waveguide, which has a lower loss?
Yeah, several advantages are there. This is well known for every researcher that why the SIW comes in the picture. Not only the loss, but also the structure dimension also. The height of the structure is almost negligible as compared to the waveguide, and also the structure is very light and almost 100 times lighter than the metallic waveguide we use.
Okay. The next question is, what is the size of millimeter wave antennas in terms of lambda?
The traveling wave structure, if you suppose want to design the leak wave antenna, the people define in the earlier manuscript, the variation of the length could be 5 lambda to 10 lambda. So whatever will be the frequency range. Suppose if you are using a millimeter wave, so the dimension just will be much smaller, but the antenna will be same, the 5 lambda to 10 lambda, the range.
Yeah. The next question is it possible to make low loss LWA in 1.7 to 2.6 gigahertz with compact structure?
Yes, numerous structures are there in leak wave antenna field. People have designed several geometries at that frequency range you mentioned, 1.5 or 2 gigahertz, that band. Basically, that is a L band or ACE band, if you can say. So, lot of structures are there.
Yeah. The next question is, please explain the functionality of wave launcher in your fabricated SIW structure.
Actually, if you suppose use any, the higher.
You can go through the slide and explain once again if you want.
I think I don't need that slide to explain. This is a simple question to answer. So, the wave launcher, the beauty of wave launcher is that the wave has been directly fed from the inner probe to the metallic strip. There is no soldering you will need it. You just fix the wave launcher at that point and the wave will be directly launched from the input power supply to your structure. You don't need any other feeding network. If you suppose use any other feed, you have to solder the structure to make the connection. But here in the wave launcher, the wave simply launches from the the powerhouse to the structure.
Okay. The next question is how one can observe the scan angle in HFSS or in CST.
Yeah, in HFSS you can choose an elevation plane over there. A particular plane you can choose in the 2D. Whenever you are using the HFSS, so you can choose a plane over there and you can check the radiation pattern. Otherwise, you can check particular frequency 3D pattern, and then if you change the frequency again, you will have a different radiation pattern. So 3D pattern, nothing you have to change. You have to just check the frequency as per your requirement and you check the radiation pattern over there. And for the 2D plane, you have to define the plane that in which plane you are going to measure.
And the next question is
whatever.
The next question is, can you please explain how to excite the higher order mode in microstrip?
Okay, so for this, I think I have to include the presentation slide one more time. So suppose this is the higher order mode SIW excitation. Here the microstrip has been used over there to feed the structure first. Then the microstrip quasi-TEM mode has been converted to the vertical mode of the slot. The vertical mode means this is a magnetic field coupled. So the magnetically coupled, the slots have been magnetically coupled over there, and this magnetically coupled ground slot has been used to excite the TE20 mode of the SIW. So this is basically the mode conversion. So two-stage mode conversion has been used to feed the higher order mode. One is the microstrip to slot, and then the ground slot to the vertical mode, again the SIW. That's how we excited the structure. The similar kind of excitation technique has been used for the millimeter wave application also.
The next question is, sir, how to know where the slot has to be made in view, and the continuation of this, in view of this, what changes has to be made if we change the application from a pencil beam to a wide angle steering application?
Okay, suppose there is no hard and fast rule that where you will place the slot from the feeding structure. By maintaining a safe gap, that suppose you feed the structure with a feeding probe and the signal is entering in the structure, so you just make a small gap over there so that the slot can get the maximum amount of electric field fed from the feeding line. So you have to ensure that the maximum field should be imposed on the slot, so you have to make a gap over there. And if you suppose want to make a higher order mode microstrip or higher frequency operation, so you have to change the you have to change the slot dimension according to the frequency of operation. That's it.
The next question is that, will the pin diode work at V band?
Yes, the millimeter wave frequency domain, I mentioned there the V band pin diode model number, if you can check the slide. So I use the pin diode which is working from 40 to 70 GHz.
Yeah. The next question is that, as you have mentioned the tuning, can you make the tuning far, much more smoother by employing some varactor diode application?
Yes, definitely. By using a varactor diode application, you can make a much smoother scanning. But here, if you can tune the frequency, it might be skip some point, but if you can use a varactor diode with good capacitive tuning range, so you can get the much smoother scanning as compared to this, right?
In this regard, I have a question. I don't know, because as far as I know, that a pin diode can either act as an on or an off device, right? So you can go for switching applications. So tune, from that aspect, that maybe can you say that tuning, you can have a smoother tuning or continuous tuning by using or by employing a pin diode?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I have already designed the structure. The structure is under progress. So I am designing the structure by using something varactor kind of these things to make the structure much smoother scanning in the millimeter wave.
The next question is, can the leaky wave region be not detected by probing using a suitable probe?
Sorry, one more time, please.
Can the leaky wave region be not detected by probing using a suitable probe?
I'm not getting the question. What you are
maybe by using some suitable probe or some kind of other measurement point of view, can the leaky wave region be detected? That kind of things.
Actually, it is better to be because if you suppose see most of the previous research, so it's better to use scan resolution in terms of degree. It is better to use the simulation tool to detect and to check the leaky wave region. Because whenever you are measuring the structure, so you can measure the S parameter response only. You cannot measure the beta and alpha in VNA. So it's better to check in the simulation to confirm the leaky wave region and then finally go for the fabrication.
Yeah. The next question is it possible to measure radiation pattern in anechoic chamber directly without using compact antenna test range setup at high frequency?
I'm not getting your question. Maybe you want to say that if you have suppose one horn antenna and something absorbing material, so can you perform this measurement in your lab? Right? I'm like that. You want
Yeah,
to ask?
maybe the person wants to know that can you do the measurement without having the CATR facility or compact antenna test range facility in the lab? Can you do the measurement, or you have to employ the CATR facility?
No, I think the noise environment in the lab, it will highly affect your antenna performance in the millimeter wave.
Okay. Then the next question is how to obtain dispersion diagram for SIW structure.
Actually, most of my paper, if you go through my paper, I have mentioned the formula over there, how you will make the plot of dispersion diagram by plotting the alpha and beta with respect to the frequency. I have mentioned that almost every paper.
Okay. The next question is how to increase the gain of an antenna. I think already you have covered this one in your lecture.
Yes.
Achha. The next question is sometimes when we compact the antenna to reduce size, gain reduces drastically. So how can we increase the gain in that case?
Yes, I mentioned that point, the last design of the first part of my work. So if you suppose want to compact your antenna and without sacrificing the gain, you can make the structure first of all asymmetric to increase the gain and the efficiency by compacting the structure. Another option is there, you can use a higher order mode. So by using a higher order mode, by using a asymmetry, by inserting asymmetry, you can get a much higher gain as compared to the previously long structure.
The next question is how can we choose dimensions of structure and position of slots over the structure?
Position of the slots are strictly dependent on the electric field or orientation. So if you are suppose using a higher order mode, or if you are using a lower order mode of the waveguide, so according to the direction of the electric field, you have to place a slot. If the electric fields are kind of the horizontal, the slot will be strictly in the vertical. If the electric field is tilted, so according to the electric field, you have to place the slots to face the maximum magnitude of the electric field.
The next, so yeah, the next question is can we minimize the X-pole by cutting slots and any new emerging technology?
Yeah, definitely you can eliminate the, you can minimize the cross polar level by using several technologies are there. So there is as such no particular hard and fast technology that by using this technology you can only minimize the cross polar level. Several technologies are there.
The next question is how to modify the feeding structure to provide distribution for low side lobe level.
Feeding structure, actually the feeding structure I have used for my design purpose is basically for SIW kind of things, the SIW power divider or the microstrip to SIW transition kind of feeding structure I have used. By using a spoof kind of structure, spoof surface plasmon kind of feeding structure, you can get a very good side lobe level structure. Antenna with good side lobe level for a spoof surface plasmon kind of structure.
The next question is that can you comment on the scan resolution in terms of degree?
Scan resolution in terms of degree? Yes, yeah. Actually I didn't perform the time domain measurement over there. So I have not included any time-based scanning, that for how much time the beam actually scans from this point to this point. But yes, the beam scans I checked in the simulation. We have a simulation software in the measurement center where you can check the time domain scan of the antenna simulation in the simulation. So it is actually 2 degree 1 second, 2 degree per second.
Okay, so I think that I have taken that all the questions which have been asked over here. So okay, one more question I have just received. In LWA, how can we control the side lobe levels? Is it controllable similar to array antennas?
Yes, it is similar to array antenna.
Okay.
There is nothing different from the array antenna except the basic intrinsic feature of the structure. The structure is basically non-resonant, but the array is resonant kind of structure.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, so I have taken all those questions which have been asked. So thank you very much to Dr. Sarkar for this wonderful presentation once again. And let me ask once again, from just for my clarification, Saugata or Swapnil, have you received any kind of questions from any others?
No, I don't receive any question. So actually, unfortunately, thing happened that Facebook Live is not working.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah.
But anyway, Dr. Anirban Sarkar, that's a wonderful talk and excellent.
Yeah, excellent.
We get
Excellent one. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent work and excellent. We give an excellent talk.
Yeah.
We get a lot of time.
What I had mentioned at the very first, whenever I had introduced Dr. Sarkar, that he is a young researcher and works really very nice in this emerging technology. And we are very much fortunate that to have him amongst us amidst this pandemic situation. And he is right now extremely busy with his own professional engagement. And we are really very happy that amidst that, in spite of this fact that it is the first time that we are having this kind of webinar where some international person is giving this kind of talk. So
exactly.
we are really very much thankful to Dr. Sarkar.
Thank you so much for the appreciation.
Swapnil, any kind of things you have received? Any further one?
No, sir.
Okay. So let me thank once again to all the participants as well as all the dignitaries who are present over here. And what I have already shared over here, that the feedback link in the chat, may I just request all the attendees to kindly put up your valuable comments before leaving this particular platform. Okay. And what I can see that we are having Dr. Mohadevan among us, okay, senior people from ISRO who has retired. So,
Yes.
sir, can you please unmute and say a few words before, if you just having now? Yeah.
So
Yes,
it's such a great experience seeing engineers working on SAPW. Now a lot of PhDs, etc., are all coming on that area. So this is the first lecture where I heard that the extensive use of SAP and specifically on the leaky wave antenna, and then the methods which you have described for the various beam scanning methods and scanning not only in the hemisphere but also going to the backside, etc. Specifically, this will be of very great interest. And specifically, what I feel is in places like in spacecrafts. In fact, in spacecrafts, we found that in some cases where the scanning is not sufficient, we had to put another antenna so that could take care of. That is, we use a dual gimbal antenna to make sure that mechanically we can scan and go to areas where we are not otherwise able to get through electronic scanning area. So these type of leaky wave antennas which we have developed, it can be made more and more efficient and can be used in places like spacecraft. I'm sure it will all be coming up very shortly. So thank you very much for excellent presentation, and I wish you all the very best for your career.
Thank you, sir, for your beautiful appreciation. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And what I also want to inform all of you that this particular talk has been recorded like our previous webinar. So it will be uploaded in our YouTube channel of IEEE MTTS IIT BHU. If you have not subscribed the channel, this is again my sincere request to please subscribe the channel once it will be uploaded and it will be shared to all of you. And please subscribe the channel for tuning for the more updates from us. So let us thank our speaker, Dr. Anirban Sarkar, once again.
Thank you once again.
This particular time, okay, and wish you all the very best. And thanks to all the participants for present over here.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sarkar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.